Hello and welcome to the Nexus. Today we're going to do issue 21 of our Dalek build. Let's get going.
Exterminate!
Okay, so there we go. I have a little box this week. We're doing issue 21. We're going to need the interior section. So we are going to need this as well. And we're going to be just adding some pipes to this as we go on, and some other little parts. But first we're going to go through the magazine, so let's do that. Okay, so let's have a look in issue 21. So we don't get a poster in this one, get nothing on that one. Then we're going to have a look at the Day of the Daleks, part 3. We've already had parts 1 and 2, so we're having a look at part 3 on this episode. Season 9, episode 3, 1972. There we go. Once again, going to go through the episode bit by bit. Get some behind the scenes stuff there, which is cool. And then we get Davros, part 3. So we've already had Davros part 1 and 2. Now we get part 3 to look at. Once again, it goes through Davros's interaction with the Daleks and the Doctor. Just there. And as you can see, we're putting on some more parts on the interior. So let's do that. Okay, so here's the little box that we have. Open it up. Got, some bits in here, not a lot. So first thing I need to grab out. We've got all these bits here. That bit and that bit. In here we have a pipe. We'll also have another pipe in this one. HP screws and GP screws. Okay, so we've got these little parts here. So the first thing we're going to do is put this part in here like this, push down. And then we've got these 4 little peg holes here, and then they're going to go into that. So you're just going to peg this in, just push it down like so. Okay, now we need to bring over the interior. So let me make the screen a little bit bigger. Okay, so here we go. So this part here is going to sit on this little 4 holes just there. So we're just going to, like so, and it just gets pushed in like that. I don't think it gets, there is a little mark underneath, but actually we don't do much, and then that bit should be there. So that's all looking cool. Okay, next we got these pipes. Now you do have a bigger hole and a smaller one just there, and then at the back here, just here, you'll have a bigger hole and a smaller hole. Can you see those? So obviously a bigger one will go there and a smaller hole there. So we've got 2 here. They're near enough the same, but slightly different. And it's just about making sure that we have the right ones where they go. So this one here will go at the back here like that. And then this one will go in here. So I can get that. Hang on a second. Let me pull this one out and get this one in first. Like so. Just making sure you line up the bigger hole and the smaller hole together. Like so. So sort of go in like that. You can sort of see them there. Okay. So in this first one, so actually let me take that second one out. In this first one we're going to put GP screws. So we need 2 of them, just there. So the first one, I'm just going to put some GP screws in. So you need to hold it down slightly while you screw these in. There's one. And there's the other one. Don't know why we use 2 separate screws on this one, but we do. Right, there's that one there. So that's that first one in. And then the next one, we're going to put the HP screws in. So these ones are slightly bigger, as you can see. And they're going to go in this one. Yeah, lovely. There we go. Oh. So nice and tight. There we go. There we go. So as you can see, we have those 2 pipes just here, and we can put matey back in on his little throne just here, like so. And as you can see, now I have said, some people I've noticed in the groups have said that it could use a bit of colouring along the back here. That is up to you, putting maybe a little bit of weathering or silver scuff marks and that, but the interior of this thing is supposed to be black anyway. It's all supposed to be jet black. If you go and look at the original photos on set, there's a few little wires in here that are different colours, but the majority of this, especially this back section here, is all black. So it's the right colour, but I suppose you could maybe weather it a little bit, or put little shadow marks or silver scuff marks maybe. You could do that. That is totally up to you, and you can customise it how you like. So that's it, and there it is. So let me just grab him out so you can see that. It's just little detailing that they've put on. So we put on this part, and then we've got a little pipe detail there, just there, and that's all we've put on. The next, now with that in place, you can just about make it out. You will lose a lot of this detail, I think, because it's black for starters, and because it's at the back there. Also remember, there is going to be a big silver pole that runs through that bit right up to the top, because this is where the front mechanism attaches to, that opens up. And so you'll have one that side and obviously one on that side. You can see where they go underneath as well. But there we go. So we've done that. Okay, so next issue 22. There we got issue 22. So we've got the 2 back parts here. We've got another one of these things as well, which we've just stuck on the front there. So we've got one here. So the next one goes here. So we'll have both of them on. And it looks like as well that we get the 2 back sort of barrel sections and pipes to go with that. So the back sections that go here, so these parts here, but for this side. And that is it for issue 22. So yeah, like I said, we're going to be now working on the interior section for the next, I would say, the next 15-20 issues. So there's a lot of stuff going into this section here. before we start doing like the rest of it as well. Obviously it's got to be filled out. There's a lot to go on this as well, a lot to be filled out on this section. Remember, this is just the interior section, so you know there's also so the bits we're building at the moment is what goes in this section here. So the lower section is this part, and then the bit that goes on top of this will be this part here. So he sits in where the gun and plunger is, and then above this, so just above this is where the grid sits. So, and this is just the interior, so we've got a lot of, as you can see, it sort of goes out a lot further. So there's a lot of work still to be done, and it looks like we've done the head, so it looks like all the next sort of 20-30 issues could be just doing this part before we move on, or they could just build the interior section and then move on to doing the bottom section here before we move back. They may end up doing that. Partworks tend to sort of juggle about just a bit on a lot of builds. So you know, take a car for instance, so you may get things like the hood and some of the engine, and then you will start doing the interior, then go back to the engine, and it will probably be something like this with this. So we may end up doing a lot of the interior work, and then before we do the outer, we may then start doing the base before we start doing the outer sections to this. But what I can see from the issues that we've seen so far is, I would say for the next, at least the next 18 issues, we are going to be building this section up in here. So expect more issues as well, like the one we've just done and the one next week as well. There is going to be a lot of issues where we don't get a lot. We know the overall cost, and that is spread out throughout the whole build. Whether or not you get a little bit or not, that is inconsequential. You still pay the end price, but some of the issues may not have a lot in them. But that's compensated for when we do get issues with big die-cast parts. So yeah, but anyway, it's nice. It's come along really nicely actually, and it's sort of building up that back section. I would say the next 3 issues just going to build up this. There's not a lot to go on this front section because obviously that's where it opens up. So a lot of this back section will go on, and this top section will probably go round as well because it's just that bit that opens up. So yeah, all in all, looking good. Okay, so let's do some shout outs. So once again, thank you so much for doing all your comments. If I didn't get round to your comment, I do apologise. I'll get round to it next time. And once again, if you want a question or you want me to ask, you want to ask me a question or you want me to find out something, let us know in the comments, and we'll discuss it in the next video. Chatty DJ, loving the build so far. I have to rebox my mutant as my dog sits next to my work desk waiting for me to move the mutant so he can grab it. Lol. It's so funny. Keep up with the videos as I build along with you. Thank you so much, DJ, there for your comment, and thanks for following the channel. Mikey, another 120 issues to go, so it'll be 119 issues to go, 119 weeks still to go on the build. It seems like a long time because it is, but we are where we are. The horror universe, we also have the middle section, the gun and the plunger to work on. Yeah, there's a load to work on this, and I think most of the mechanisms we've done the head so far. The base will just have the wheel sections on and the power, but I think a lot of the wiring, a lot of the section stuff will be on this middle section, because we have to have limiter switches. We'll have to have some servos, the bits to go in, the bits to go on. So I think the majority of the electrical work will be in this section, because in the base we'll have the batteries and the motors to turn the wheel and to turn the ball wheels, because it's on ball wheels. But I think the majority of, because you've got to think what's inside this section here. So inside this section you'll have the bit that opens up, But you'll also have the plunger that moves, and obviously I'm not too sure if it will be able to move round, or we definitely know it'll be able to extend. And then we'll also have the gun as well. Once again, I don't know if you'll be able to move the gun like this or whether you manually do it, but once again it will have the gun that lights up and everything else. So there's a lot to go into the middle section here, so we have a lot of work to do on that. Dave McBuilds, great video again, Kev, looks great, thank you so much. Rental Humdi, I must be absolute bushing it, I do apologise. 1043. Next week when you do the second half of the back wall, try putting those two parts to the back wall in first to see if it's easier. We do get those parts in the next issue 22. Obviously we get these back parts, but we don't get the back wall. So it looks like we actually attach those bits before we attach the wall, but yeah, I think that'll be an easier way. So if you haven't got to this point yet, my advice would probably be to attach these to the back wall before putting the back wall on. But there is a problem with that, and that is that this back wall section goes up and these parts have to go in. So I don't think you'll be able to do it like that. I think the only way to do it is the way that it's told you to. But you know, we'll have a little go if we can do this a different way maybe and put them on before putting these on. But yeah, we'll have a look. We'll have a look at that when it comes to it. PJB, I've registered interest in this build here in Australia. Looking at what is placed on the back wall, I think it would have been easier to put on all that before the wall section was attached to the floor. Maybe for those pipes as well, because it was a bit tight getting in there. Let's move Bill out of there, because I've got two of them, Bill and Ted. Putting these pipes in, I think these could have been put in before the back wall. That's for sure. They weren't hard to get in. They went in pretty fine. But yeah, you do find this with a lot of artworks that some parts always seem to go the long way around, if you know what I mean. Instead of doing it as an engineering point, you sort of look and you go, well, you could have done that easier. But sometimes I find that the way that they tell you to do it, there's a little bit of method to the madness. So even though we don't get it, it sort of works out in the end. Anthony Wallace, hi, 140 issues to build. Yeah, so we've done 21, so there's 119 issues left, because in the last video I couldn't remember how many issues there were, but there's 140. Then we come on to Richard. Would the Dalek fit on the seat first and then fit the screen? We tried that actually, so I can actually, so if you do it like that, he's all sort of bent up. There's no way. And in the show, his tentacles do actually go over the top here, so it is actually correct, the way he sits on there. But you can't put the tentacles under it. He can't sit like that. We've already discussed that. He can't sit like this. The tentacles can't go under. It has to sit exactly like that, which is fine. I'm literally okay with that. And then the Horror Universe again, put 20 issues, just the middle section alone. Now that doesn't add up. You'll be very, very surprised. But we can see up to, I think it's now up to like 40, issue 40 odd. And we are still working on the middle section. So we are still, I think if I can look, just a second, bear with me. Okay, so I've just checked issue 34, which is what we can see up to. We are still working on this middle section. So it may be that's the last issue we work on this bit, but remember we still have a lot of the outer panels to go on this. I'm not too sure whether we're just going to work on the interior section of this and then move on and come back to it later on, which we may end up doing. They do like to do that on Partworks. They do like to do certain bits and then move on to something else and then back to that part as well. So we just have to wait and see. But up to issue 34, we are still working on that interior section. As always, thank you guys for commenting, like, subscribe, and share as we always do. But yeah, if you want a question, you ask me a question, you want something answered, or you're just struggling, or you just want to say hi, drop us a message on this video. We'll get a shout out on the next one. But until then, guys, thank you for watching, and we will see you at the next video. So until then, see you later, guys.
Tune into the channel, Nexus is the name. All the hardest content, you'll never be the same. Laughs and thrills, excitement.